in 1990. And since then, I was doing a few posts. I was the last one was ambassador in Rwanda, but before that, I was a special envoy on energy for the Israeli government. So it's like ambassador for energy. And that is, of course, there is a good reason for that. In this job, I was 2 years the representative in Abu Dhabi before the peace broke. So it was a very unique posting to be in a place where there is they actually don't want you, but they have to.
I've been there.
Yeah, been there.
No, I've been in a place where they don't want you.
Yeah, I see. Yes, that's true for sure. And before that, I was 15 years. I did UN, United Nations issues. I was in New York first time, 5 years. Then I was in Geneva. I was the director of the UN in the headquarters, etc. So I did a lot of things during my career, but the ambassadorship in Rwanda was the most important and was really the peak of the career. Welcome. What's your name?
Levi.
Levi.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you. So so that's my career in a nutshell. Let me tell you about let's say about a bit about my service in Rwanda. So I did not know much about Rwanda when I decided to go there. I decided to go to Rwanda, frankly, because they asked me to open a new embassy, and I like to do new things. And that's my career is actually, and I can tell the young people, always find to start something new, to be innovative, and to be innovative also for yourself, not for also for others, just that you will have an interesting time. So, for example, I learned very in-depth in my career about the UN, and I benefited from that because my role came as I suggested to have an International Holocaust Day, which became, it was my idea that you do mention the International Day, Holocaust Day, which is 27th of January. And that was my idea. I presented the resolution to the UN. I drafted it. I went around the world. I persuaded countries to support the resolution. And in November 1st, 2005, the General Assembly adopted the resolution that I drafted, which decided to designate the Holocaust Remembrance Day. And that is, thank you, it is a big achievement, a diplomatic achievement. So that's because I learned in depth about the UN and how can I do a day. There was a day of the Palestinian, 29th of November. It's the International Day for the Palestinians. It was there since 75. And there is a Children's Day and a Women's Day, Women's International Day, etc. So what I'm saying is I learned something new and I benefited for that. Same way goes to the energy, which I really learned a lot. So I like to start new things, and that's why I wanted this job. And then I actually learned about Rwanda later on. The connection to Rwanda was immediate because I am a second generation of Holocaust survivors. My mother, unfortunately, both passed away. My mother was in Bergen-Belsen. She was taken from Budapest. She was born in Budapest, and while she was 9 years old, she was taken to Bergen-Belsen concentration camp in Germany, and she was rescued by a total different story, which I'm not going to get into because it's a long story, and we are not here for that. But she was rescued, and my father was also a Holocaust survivor. He was from Yugoslavia. He ran away from the Nazi in the forests in Italy, etc., and he survived with his sister. So, being a second-generation survivor in Rwanda became something that connected me a lot because Rwanda went through a genocide. I'm not sure that everyone knows that. I mean, you know that, the older generation. But Rwanda in 1994, do you know anything about that?
I watched the movie Black Hawk Down. I'm pretty sure that's what it's about. So much for
Black
No. That's one of the jazz.
One of the generals.
We're not putting you on camera.
Do you know anything, anyone?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It was one group just like tried killing all the Tutsis.
Yes,
I
very
forgot
nice.
the first group.
The Hutus.
The Hutus.
Okay, so actually, if I may say,
Excellent, Akiva. Excellent.
excellent, Akiva, bravo. So the tribe Hutu, who is a long story, got to be to govern there after the Belgium left Rwanda. Belgium were designated as a mandate by the League of Nations to be in Rwanda somehow, and they made a mess there. Whereas the two tribes, Hutus and Tutsi, were working together the whole time. Where are you living?
I'm bringing a friend.
Okay. Okay. Unfortunately, in 1959, when they were about to leave, the Belgians, they handed over to the Hutus the government of Rwanda. Whereas before, they governed together, the Hutu and the Tutsi. And since 1959 until 1994, the Tutsi went through a very difficult period of deportation and killings, and many Tutsi left. But 1 million remained in Rwanda, and all of them, 1 million Tutsi, were killed in 100 days by the Hutus. So that was a genocide. And I'm saying that because Kado's family are survivors of the genocide. So his mother, his father, and his brother, Yannick, whom I mentioned before, and the sister, they are all survivors of the genocide.
Not every.
Yannick, of course, Kado, of course, was born much later.
But guys told me that who was killed from your family?
And then the brother was killed.
Yeah.
Was killed, and he was 3 years old, I think, right?
1
year old. 1 year old, yes. So 1 million people were killed in 100 days. It was a disaster. And the country it remained like ashes, like really nothing was left. So bringing back to my story, I related very much to the survivors of the genocide who came back from the diaspora, started coming back, and people who survived. But also I connected with the second generation. So for me, in a way, I am second generation, and there is a second generation there are younger people who are second generation, but also Kado, of course, to speak with the survivors is something that I could not do because my parents never spoke about the Holocaust. They never spoke about what they went through. In the house, it was silent. There was no talk about it. And then I could speak to survivors in Rwanda because they opened up somehow. It was also difficult, but I really encouraged them to speak, to open up, because it was good and for healing for themselves. It's good for the history. It's good for never again, and of course against denial. So denial comes when you are not speaking and you're not writing about what you went through, which brings me to 7th of October, because 7th of October was a genocide of one day. Of course, it's a different situation altogether because there is a government who was supposed to protect people, whereas in Rwanda, the government was the one to murder people. The government, the army, the militia, they were all under the government, under the Hutu government. Yeah, so it's not the same. However, it was a genocide of one day, and the denials started immediately. Immediately, and we have to fight this denial by writing books, by giving testimonies, and this is being done now. It's being done by survivors. So my time in Rwanda, of course, was not only about the Holocaust and the genocide and what is between them. It was a new embassy. It was an embassy number 10 in Africa. We have only 10 embassies. The embassies are usually regional, so embassies covers a few countries. I got to be in Rwanda, where there were no more countries that were given to me other than Rwanda, which was good for me because I could concentrate my work in Rwanda, and it was amazing because there's so much to do. The relations are very, very unique, very special because of the history, but also because there are things that were done before I came through direct contact, and I could have had the privilege to promote the relations. So one of the things is, of course, agriculture. The agriculture is very, very basic. It's challenging, and we brought the biggest farm that we built in the world. It's built in Rwanda. Israel built a farm, which is the biggest of our farms in the world, and it's built in Rwanda.
What do you mean
Near our farms. So I don't know if anyone knows, but we have an agency for international cooperation, like USAID. You guys know USAID, of course. I don't know if the young generation heard about USAID. Yes? No.
Yeah.
So USAID, anyone? No. No. Okay, you are Americans, right?
Mhm.
Okay, you should know that the US government has an agency for international cooperation, which means an agency that builds, that make the impact in developing countries in different, many fields, education and medicine and agriculture and many other things. Billions of dollars are invested in that. And only in Rwanda, USAID has a budget of $120 million. We have also a small agency, which is called Mashav, the Agency for International Cooperation. By the way, the budget of our embassy is $12 million around the world.
The whole world.
The whole world. It's 1/10 of what the US invests in Rwanda only. Yeah. So yeah, that's how it is. But we make miracles with this money because we do courses in Israel. We do capacity building also abroad in some countries. But in addition to this budget, we built a farm in Rwanda. So this is the agency who built it, and it's been a place that we can call farmers to come and learn how we do agriculture. So learn all our secrets, and that was very good. So agriculture, medicine, education. I had so many projects in all these fields and more. But I put emphasis on and innovation and startups. So to build the ecosystem of the Rwandan's startup world, and we did courses there. I sent delegations to Israel, and they learned a lot about how we do things, and it helped. Now they are very much developed. Also, we developed together the agency for cyber, the cyber agency of Rwanda, and also the space agency. So we developed during my time many agencies that actually are now being operating, and it's been really exciting. And I've been there 4.5 years, and it was the peak of my career for sure.
Wow.
And Rwanda is amazing because after being a place of nothing, of ashes, and after the genocide, Rwanda now is the 5th safest country in the world. Can you imagine? fifth safest.
What are the,
To walk
what are
the
the top
streets.
four?
Well, we have, I think Finland, Singapore, something like that.
Okay.
Not
Yes,
America.
we are not there. I mean, we as Israel and US, we are not. We are the 50 or something. It takes time. We will get there, maybe. No. So fifth safest country, and I will answer questions. I will finish.
Yeah,
Fifth safest country. It's a country that has zero tolerance for corruption, which makes it very unique. There is no corruption, and a minister or a federal agent, federal person, or works for the government or whatever, if they find a tip of corruption, is immediately in jail before checking what's going on, what happened. Recently, I found out, like this week, I found out that someone that I knew very well is in jail. I don't know what happened, but probably there was some. So there is zero tolerance for corruption, which makes it a place that people want to come and invest and make their point. I would say, if you want to work in Africa, you should start in Rwanda, because it's a microcosmos. It's a place that in 6 hours you can register a business, and you are welcome as an investor. There is an agency that is particularly for that matter.
they should all be going to you.
This is the window of all the things that an investor needs. It's called RDB. And there are more things that I can say about Rwanda. However, it's still a poor country. Okay, it's still a poor country. We need to know that. The average income, let's say, of a farmer outside Kigali, which is the capital city, is around $60 for a month. Average in Kigali is around, I would say, $500. It's good. The GDP per capita is now $900. So it's a poor country, but the growth is 8.5%. It's one of the top growth in the world. It's among developing countries, I think it's number 2. And it's a lot to do, but the potential is good because it's a place with a lot of vision. Which brings me to the last thing I want to say. Being after the genocide, the president of Rwanda, who is now still the president, he was re-elected recently, not recently, like 2 days ago. He was the one to liberate the country after the genocide and bring safety. What he did, he decided that there will be no revenge. So if someone wanted to revenge, to kill someone who killed his family and he survived, he's going to jail. So there was no tolerance for revenge. Instead, he built a process of reconciliation and peace building in the community. And through this process, which is unique, imagine the Hutus and Tutsis became neighbors a day after the genocide. People came back to their house. Of course, 2 million people were legally processed after the genocide. 2 million. Among them, about 90,000 killers, murderers. They went to jail, of course, and got between 5 and 25 years of jail. Now they're coming back from jail. They're coming back to the community. But the process of reconciliation and peace building is very strong. Mm-hmm. And this is a model for the whole world, including, in my view, for Israel. Maybe I'll stop here.
Stop the recording.
And then if you need
People have questions.
questions and answers,